If you want to impact your kids, make them play sport, make them do some kind of performance, whether it's theater, whether it's band, an instrument, whether it's chess, like make them compete. Again, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So if you just think it, but then you're saying, I can't, then you're taking one step forward and one step back. So what you want to do is at least take 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of saying, not me, you got to shut that down and saying, not me yet, but I'm taking steps. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I am your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia.
Thank you, Seth.
You're welcome. If you just tuned in, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I want to also remind you that you can listen to this show anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can also, if you're like me, I'm a visual learner. I like YouTube or Your Home TV. So if you go to our handle at YouTube, it's at the 5-Star Life, or yourhometv.com is our newest program partner channel sponsor. All the archive shows are there. Check them out. But if you're just casually checking us out, thanks for tuning in. Go to 5starlife.org to learn more about the mission. We're on a absolute mission to truly changing the way students live their lives, right? Mm-hmm. Challenging the way they think, the way they act, the way they lead, while equipping them with the academic, the social, the athletic, and the employability skills that they need to thrive and live a 5-star life. And we have a lot of ways we do that. You can learn more on our website. We have so many different programs. This show, it's a little bit of a mix. We highlight different programs we are impacting kids through, and we also bring guests on to just share a little bit about how they connect with 5-star. And then we break down really what we're teaching to kids, because there's so many parents out there that are looking for solutions and resources on how to help their kids through this adolescent phase. And so we are a great resource there as well. So go to 5starlife.org to learn more. But we're going to have a fun show.
What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about a hodgepodge of things.
Okay.
We're in studio right now starting a brand new theme. And for brand new listeners, you're like, what do you mean a theme? So we work with tens of thousands of kids on a weekly basis. And in every one of our program areas, whether it's 5-Star Life basketball, whether it's our juvenile justice, our diversion program, working with kids that are on probation, or whether it's our school-based programs, we have a core curriculum that really serves as the foundation of what we teach. And really what we're focused on is all change starts in our operating system, our mindset. And so that curriculum just helps kids create a healthy foundation of their identity and start to latch on to do I have a vision or purpose? Where am I going? So it hits a lot of things. And so we're in studio recording lessons that take those kids on a journey. And then we'll unpack we're going to highlight a couple of programs.
And this is for the upcoming school season.
The upcoming school year.
Even though we just finished.
But, the other thing I should highlight is we have this 5-Star Life parent app. And it is a great resource. So if you're listening to some concepts and here that you're like, man, I wish my son or daughter knew this, or I wish my grandson or nephew or niece knew this, you should reach out to us. Or you can go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, and you can see the 5-Star Life app there. You can download it. We have all these master classes and all kinds of courses that are so simple. I'm talking about for middle school and high school kids, we're talking 7-minute lessons that they can watch. And then there's reflection sheets that go along with it. It's a process that takes maybe 20 to 30 minutes. What we're challenging families to think about, Mia, is what if families begin to just have one intentional conversation every week? I think every parent wants to have intentional conversation. Every parent, we all want to be great parents. But when you think back, how intentional am I with teaching the values and the concepts that I believe in, not reactively, but proactively. Now, reactively is fine because it's real-time teaching. That's huge. But I'm talking about proactive learning, where you're laying down some family values and passing along your legacy. I think that's where this tool is really powerful.
And we walk you through that too. We walk you through how to come up with those values. I mean, I think everybody knows your values in your heart, but do you have them written down? Do you and your spouse agree on these values? And are you teaching the rest of your children and your even extended family? Like, what are those?
And I think that's why schools, detention centers, why so many people partner with us, is because it just lays out these universal principles that everybody believes in. We all know them, but do we teach them? And do we break them down in a way that kids can wrap their minds around and then take ownership for themselves instead of that's just what my dad says, that's just what my mom says, or my grandma. They've got to make them their own. And the process we take students through helps them understand, like, oh, this is for me, when they see it work for them.
And as a family, when they're doing this, we also have a challenge step in there. So you're encouraging these parents to do the lesson, basically, and have the conversation, and then challenge.
Yeah, then there's a challenge step, which is like the practical application. And a part of the show, we will walk you through a lesson and what that might look like. So it'll be fun. It's interesting because I was just, last night, we have for our regular listeners, about the LIFT program. It's an acronym that stands for Leadership Infusion for Families and Teens. And we're about 4 years in, working with kids that are on probation. They got into some trouble with the law. Now they're in a 6-week program with the 5-star program. And it's not just for kids, it's for the parents. They're mandated to attend as well. And, it's so interesting. We're in the 5th week of the 6-week program last night. And the previous week, we'd talked about this whole 6 weeks. It was a whole series talking about teaching them how to thrive through adversity. Now think about the situation these families and these kids find themselves in. There's adversity, right? They're in the program because of some adversity, like some bad decision making, usually negative influences, not good judgment. But they come to the program and we get to dig a little bit deeper and look at how they got there. And it's so fun to watch parents come in like irritated that they have to be there, and to watch them week by week start to buy into what we're teaching and what the program does. And then this is what the app does too. The power of that LIFT program is providing margin, space, where every week they have to take a time out and just look in the mirror, right? And reflect. Where am I? And where do I want to go? And what's the discrepancy between where I am and where I want to go? We're so busy, Mia, that we often don't really stop and think about that. We're so busy, and just that space, it creates a lot of clarity. Now, some people are thinking, I don't want to do that. Like, we avoid that space because, and we fill it with chaos because we're comfortable with it.
Sure. And it's uncomfortable as well.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable to face the music. But that's only because of what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
So how do you start to rise? Where does, like this is our theme for the next school year, rise, which ultimately, I'll give you our 5-star definition of what it means to rise. Like it means to move upward, to improve, to experience positive change. Now, who doesn't want to sign up for that? Who doesn't want to move up in your finances, in your health, in your relationship with your kids, with your family, with your coworkers? Who doesn't want to rise and make positive change? We all want that. So the question is, where do we begin? And ultimately, it begins in your mind. Your mind is the catalyst for that. Now, in this lesson, I tell kids a story, and it's when I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm sitting courtside. I'm watching the JV team or the freshman team play, and we're sitting there, and I know, and I'm thinking about the game on a play, and the other team has a point guard. I was a point guard who was really quick. Everybody knew it, and I was sitting there thinking about the game, and I was doing what I did before every game. I was worrying about everything that could go wrong, and I'm thinking, he's going to blow by me. He's going to embarrass me. What if I'm not good enough? What if? And I'm sitting there just, again, nobody knows what's going on in my mind, but everybody's just watching the game. I'm in my head. And I get so anxious that I finally turn to a teammate and I'm like, hey, I have a question. Do you think, who's quicker? You think the other guard's quicker than me? He looked at me with this funny look and it's like, Seth, is anybody quicker than you? And he encouraged me, but not only did he encourage me, it was like a wake-up call. I was like, hold on. So he's not thinking what I'm thinking. He's thinking, I got this. But I'm sitting here worried that I'm going to embarrass myself. There is something wrong with my pregame process. And I noticed that even though I had trained and prepared and I had confidence in the work I'd done, all I did pregame was think about everything that could go wrong to the point, Mia, that I wasn't even excited to play.
You know what, though, when you say pregame, there's so many pregames. If you have to go to dinner with, clients or even go to school, go to work, you have a pregame playing in your mind.
Well, you think about how much our life is pregame. You think about what our pregame ritual is, and it dawned on me like, I have worked so hard to get good, but I'm living in misery because of my thoughts. And I think there's so many people that are living in misery because of their thoughts. Because for the most part, we live in pregame. And then in the game, I'm feeling that same pressure, so I'm not enjoying it to the fullest, even though I thought I loved the game.
Right.
So it was a wake-up call.
Why do you think that most people, because I have to admit this, until we started to teach this, I really didn't think about my thoughts. They were just thoughts. I didn't think I could control them. I didn't,
Yeah, and the reason why is because we think, as many as high, they say as many as 70,000 thoughts a day, right? So as few as 6,000, as many as 70,000. So a lot of thoughts every day. But here's the reality of how incredibly powerful our brains are. Once we know how to do something repetitively, so once like tying your shoe, for somebody that has like a 4-year-old or 5-year-old, they're teaching their kids how to tie their shoes, right? And the kid is really focused on how to do that. And their brain is working overtime. But by the time they're like 7 or 8, they're good once they have it. Because the brain, once you learn something, it is so brilliant that it says, I don't need to consciously put energy and put this on the dashboard of my brain. I can drop this down to my subconscious, below consciousness. I can run a program for this. So our brain creates programs to conserve energy. So you think about how you get dressed or how you drive to work, you don't think about those things because our brains are made to really start to be efficient. And so they run programs.
So is worry, like the pregame worry, is that a program?
It's a program. We've programmed ourselves. That's why you're not aware of your thoughts. You're not aware of the dull roar of negativity and of fear and anxiety. You just know you don't feel great. You know you're not enjoying life. You know you're just a little bit miserable because of the automatic negative thoughts that we've trained ourselves for. So it's such a powerful concept. We're going to take a quick break here in a second, and we'll come back with more in the second segment on this topic, and it's going to be fun. And we're going to teach everybody how you can start to create a new thought pattern, and it's not as difficult as people think. Okay, for everybody listening, at the break, I want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button. If this is helpful to you, please do us a favor. Would you just take a moment to hit the subscribe button? If you're listening via radio, do us a favor. Go to our website or go to a YouTube or go to one of our podcasts. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Or if you're enjoying this, you're thinking of people that could benefit from this, share it with a friend, a coworker, a neighbor. That's a huge way to help us. It's like you're making a donation to us. Again, we're on a mission to truly transform students' lives by challenging the way they think, the way they act, the way they lead, and the same with families. So check that out. You can also go to Google Play Store or Apple Store and check out our 5-Star Life Parent app. Again, we're encouraging you to take one day a week and do a parent-family meeting. Again, a half hour could change and transform your family and your legacy, help you build a legacy. We'll be right back after this. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia. And we're having a fun conversation about this whole idea of how to rise and move upward and make progress and really begin to live a 5-star life. And we're talking about where that begins, and it starts in your mind. And in the last segment, we were starting to break down this idea. I told that story about as a freshman, I realized that the game I loved, I stopped loving, and I was really living in misery in the pregame process. And then the game wasn't as good because I was so anxious. And so when we're anxious, you think about how we show up and we step into the arena when we're anxious or when we're afraid. We don't show up well. We're not enjoying life. And it's such a simple thing to think about. But, the question we should ask ourselves is, how often am I truly fully alive and engaged and at my best, showing up at my best?
Gosh, I mean, it's a hard question. You said this is a fun segment. I don't know if some people think this is fun, because sometimes I don't. But it's good work. But you got to. It also, our minds are lazy. They want to go back to the comfort, and you and we are challenging people to not live in that comfortable place.
Yeah. So people are like, well, how do I change this? If I have these automatic thoughts, and if it's down in my subconscious, I do it automatically, because a lot of people, they have a lot of shame or a lot of frustration. Like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It's truly biology, right? It's the way your brain is designed to be efficient. And so if we trained ourselves to be in this process, we can untrain it. We can train new neural pathways. And think about it this way. Think about if you have a field of tall grass and you choose a path, and let's just say you're trying to get from one point to another and you just create a path straight across. Well, if you just chart a course and you start walking, it's going to be hard to create it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have bugs, you're going to have grass hitting your knuckles, and you're going to misstep a little bit. But if you go back and forth, the more you do it, right, guess what happens? You're going to create a path because you're going to push down that grass. You're going to level out the ground. And that's how our thoughts work. And over time, it gets really easy. You have a nice little path to walk through, and now it's automatic. You walk and you automatically see the path. It's just routine. That's the same way that our brains work. And so what feels like work at first, like this is too hard, it doesn't stay hard long. It's just the first little bit of repetition that's hard, and then it's easy. So this idea that, oh man, it's so hard to change my diet. Oh, it's so hard to change my parenting style. It's so hard this project is so hard. Well, yes and no. It's hard for a little bit. But then once you've taught your brain, because your brain, it's designed, again, your brain is not trying to be your friend. It's not trying to help you be your best. It's not trying to help you live a 5-star life. Your brain is designed to be efficient, to save energy. And you've trained it in a way that it now knows this is how we do. So it just is automatic. So when you change, and you start knocking down a new path, knock down a new tall grass, your brain is like, whoa, this is not what we do.
Well, here's the question, though. So how, what does that look like? Because I'm thinking like some of the things that I'm trying to work on, they are not like, oh, I get to work on them, 2 minutes later. It could be a day. It could be an hour. I mean, so how does that help the brain? Does it hurt the brain if you don't do it repetitively, quickly?
Well, I think for me, again, going back to, I didn't understand as a freshman in high school the neuroscience behind it, but what I did is the wake-up call, the awareness, and hopefully right now people are having some awareness, because you're taking a minute, you have a little bit of margin, and some thoughts are coming to you like, man, I feel that anxiety. I have a pregame plan before I cook dinner, or before I meet with my family, or before I go to work, or before I go to a meeting. Like, our brains are brilliant. Your recall is incredible. You're coming up with ideas right now. So I'm sitting there in the bleachers and I'm realizing my pregame ritual is bad. what if I replaced this negativity with the truth that my teammate showed me, like, I'm quick. And I started to just really kind of go off of that and like, okay, I am more prepared than the other guard. I've practiced, I've trained, I'm prepared. I just started to think through what I had and what I needed to do. And what immediately started to change is I started to get excited, like, I'm quick, I'm ready, I'm prepared. And I started to be intentional about my pregame routine. And so I literally, for the next game, I just started that way. I'm like, I'm not going back to that anxiety. I'm going to love this game again. And I'm going to be prepared to play. I'm not going dark. So once you have the awareness, it's not that hard when you're triggered, because our brains are brilliant. Your brain will remind you, like, hey, we create a little path over it. Do you want to take it or not? Now in that choice, take it.
Goes back to choice.
Okay. And the problem with the choice, the difficulty in the choice is the pathway that's laid down. You'll have this wide path that's easy, that there's already emotion oozing out of that path for you. The fear, the anxiety, you're already feeling it. Mm-hmm. But that little signal of that little path you created, it's faint, but there's a signal saying, hold on, there's a better way. It's like, oh, there is. I'm going to take it. That's the choice, and that's really powerful. So this idea that it's really hard, it's partially true, but it's not that hard, because it's just a matter of saying, okay, I'm leaning into that path. I'm going to take it right now. And I'm choosing to ignore this one. And you might linger. You might be laying down this hard path while feeling the effects of the other path a little bit. So it's not, every illustration breaks down at some point.
Sure, but it's a win. And I guess you have to take that win that, you know what, I did decide to go down that narrow path, and maybe I didn't, conquer it, but I started to.
And the scientific term for it is neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Your brain can change. Now, here's the crazy thing about this. It does not take your brain very long to lay down that path, and guess what happens? Just like a path in the wilderness, if that grass doesn't get walked on for a day or 2 days or a week, how fast does that path disappear? Really quick, right? Mm-hmm. That grass shoots up. It starts to be overgrown really quick. That path goes away, it withers away, and it dies. That's why it literally, in your brain, that neural pathway literally just weakens and disappears. Pretty powerful.
That is it's crazy too when you think. So why do they call it neuroplasticity?
Because your brain, it can morph. It's like Play-Doh. There's a plastic. I guess when you heat it up, plastic, right? You can form it into anything you want it to be. It could be a mic stand. It could be a bottle cap. It could be anything you want it to be. That's the same power that your mind has over your brain.
Love that.
And the thing about the mind, like your mind is where the power is. Your brain, it's a functional computer, an efficiency machine. And most people think that they are their brain, that their mind and their brain are the same thing, which it comes back to really bad science. Now, science, because of all the technology we have, we can see that the myth of the last 30, 50, 60 years that the brain is fixed and it's really about your genetics. It's set, locked in. There's nothing you can do. That's been totally debunked. We have all the evidence in the world that you have a mind that controls the brain. So things like addiction, things like horrible habits, I'm just angry, I'm just depressed. It's like, well, those may be true emotions, those may be true habits, but you can change and you can create new neural pathways that changes your human experience. That means the power is in your court.
So how do we break this down for kids? Because that's a lot.
It is a lot, but here is what we start to do. It's all about focus. So we break this down really simply. So for me, it was, again, shifting away from, I'm going to focus on the fearful thoughts, the anxious thoughts, or am I going to focus on what I want, the positive outcome I want. So when you think about families, so many parents parent, we talk about this a lot in the show, but you parent from one of two places. You can parent from a place of fear about the worst possible scenario that could happen to your kids or to your marriage or to your work environment. And you can live out of fear or you can live out of love. And so the simplicity of this neural pathway process is I'm going to start choosing to lay down a path where I'm operating out of love or out of the desires I have, or out of the dreams I have. And so I'm going to start thinking about those desires and then choosing those thoughts, choosing those emotions, and rejecting. Now, some people are like, well, that's ridiculous. I can't ignore facts. I'm not talking about facts, but me sitting courtside thinking about, is the guard quicker or what am I going to mistake? Those aren't facts. Those are feelings and thoughts that are random that I'm pulling into my consciousness, choosing to dwell in them, and then thinking that they're true. They're not true. They haven't happened yet. Mm-hmm. They're just thoughts. And so much of our parenting and our thoughts about our kids, about our finances, about our health, they're just thoughts. They're not facts. And I think separating the two and saying, okay, what am I going to focus on? What am I going to move toward? I can control that, right? I can start to control what I'm going to focus on.
Can others help you, change your focus, or what role do they play? Like as a parent, can I help my child? Let's say they're talking like, I'm so scared for tonight. I'm afraid I'm going to mess up in the game.
Yeah, well, and there's I'm a failure, or I can't do this, or I'm just depressed, or I'm just this, or I'm that. And I always say, like, you know what? You can face reality, but what comes out of your mouth is really important for you as a parent and with your kids. Like, I just can't keep myself. I just can't focus. I just can't focus in school, or I just can't be disciplined. I just can't take responsibility. And I think there's a magic word that's really powerful. And you can start modeling this for your kids. When you're struggling to say, man, I just can't yet. And the truth is, maybe you're not functioning the way you want to, but when you say yet, it keeps the door open for you to say, okay, I'm going to work on this. And then let's start to take it to the next level and say, I'm learning how to control my anger. I'm learning to be more disciplined. And you get your tongue to follow the pathway that you want your mind to think about. Mm-hmm. That's one of the most powerful things that parents can teach their kids. Now, sometimes people think, well, that's just ridiculous. That's just like hocus pocus. Not according to neuroscience. It's really powerful when you get your mind and your tongue on the same page.
I find, though, when you're helping your child, it helps you. You know what? I'm changing my thought pattern by helping them change their thought pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super powerful.
Yeah.
So this is a great concept. We're going to take a break right there and come back with more after this. Again, at the break, if you haven't done this yet and you've been listening for some time, do us a favor, especially if you're listening by radio. We have a lot of people that listen on air live, and we're so thankful. But would you go to social media or to one of our YouTube pages or Your Home TV and just hit the subscribe button? It will go right to your email so you don't miss an episode. We'll be right back after this. At 5 Star Life, we talk a lot about the right tools. See, the hammer is the courage to be the best person you can be. The chisel is the respect you give and the respect you earn. The level, that's the integrity that keeps you balanced in a world that's always shifting. And the saw represents responsibility. It is what separates you from harmful actions and experience. It's the sacrifice it takes to work hard and be your best. Tools, when they're all used together, things are built. There's progress, but where there are no tools, there can be no progress. We give these important tools to kids every single day, and we couldn't do it without our partners like Global Link Distribution. Global Link supports this mission so that these values, courage, respect, integrity, responsibility, and sacrifice become the tools these amazing young people use to become great. Global Link Distribution is a leader and supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cabinet shop, cargo, and horse trailer industries, but they're also a proud sponsor of this program to help 5 Star Life students thrive. It is our turn to see to it that our children have the tools that build greatness. Volunteer or donate today at 5starlife.org. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia. And we're having a great show. I just want to ask parents, educators, grandparents, anybody that knows kids, if this has been helpful, I really want to encourage you to get involved with 5-Star Life in some way. And if you're listening to this show and you're like, I love the content, I believe in the program, reach out to us. There are some opportunities, even with this show, some sponsorship opportunities. So reach out to us at 5starlife.org if you want to be a part of that and have your business connected with the show. It's a great idea. So go to 5starlife.org, reach out to us, hit the contact us button, and we'd love to partner with you on this. So Mia, we have so many great things happening from our 5-Star Life basketball program, which I know for many parents, they're in the middle of summer programs, baseball, soccer, basketball. Like our summer basketball programs are in full swing. I was just in Indy last weekend with our 5-Star Life basketball teams, and fun to watch our coaches just challenging kids. Like sports, they are so powerful. If you want to impact your kids, make them play sport, make them do some kind of performance, whether it's theater, whether it's band, an instrument, whether it's chess, like make them compete. And I know there's people listening that totally buy into that. Matter of fact, I know so many of our sponsors, corporate sponsors, they intentionally look for athletes and high-level athletes because they're just super resilient. Mm-hmm. They can think quick. They're used to pressure. They don't melt down under pressure. It's like you kind of learn to thrive, and you kind of get excited. You get a little adrenaline about those pressure situations and winning. And also, we live in such a snowflake culture. I'm just going to say it, Mia. We have a snowflake culture where the world has gone soft. And we've got kids in families where kids are they're blocking, they're unfriending, they're dropping out of families. We've got parents doing the same thing to their kids because of political or spiritual beliefs, because they're so sensitive and they can't handle tough conversations, or because they've been so indoctrinated by one side or the other that they can't just be a human being and let people have different opinions without demonizing them. Mm-hmm. Like our culture is so messed up because we're so soft. We can't disagree. And I'm telling you, in sports, you have competition. You have some clashes. Like it's so fun to watch. Like I love watching our kids compete, and I love watching kids choke and be held accountable, or get lazy and be held accountable by their coach or by their teammates. And I love watching those kids work through that. Like, holy cow, my teammates are ticked at me. They're disappointed in me. Like, and you watch them like thinking. You watch how they feel like horrible, and they come back the next game and they play better. That's so powerful. It's an ecosystem that teaches everything that we just taught about how the brain works.
Sure. But, I mean, you're talking about our teams, 5-star teams, because I've seen some youth travel teams that don't have those same beliefs.
We played a game last Saturday where we were playing a team that in the basketball world, you have different types of teams, like you said. And I'm laughing kind of nervously because my heart goes out to the kids that don't have a great coach. They just roll the ball out and they don't have the discipline. They're not being taught how to play the game in a structured environment. And so we beat teams that are maybe quicker, more athletic, more talented sometimes because we just teach the right way. There's a structure and there's accountability and there's a focus on energy and attitude, all those things that help kids be resilient. Otherwise, you're right. The other team we played, they started cussing at each other, melting down, getting technical fouls. Like they just killed themselves, and their coach was a part of the problem. Just like it was almost like his ego was on the line. And so He's yelling at them. The kids are yelling. Like literally there was a moment, Mia, where all of a sudden, like there's a play that happened and this kid starts walking past me to the other bench. And he's like swearing at somebody over there. I'm just watching him. Like, is he talking to a teammate? Like, well, he's going off. And I watch him. He goes all to the bench. And I'm like, oh my goodness. He's talking to his coach.
Oh my.
He's swearing, cussing his coach out. And the coach is just sitting there. And I'm just like, what is going on? I could not believe it. But that's exactly the difference between our process and our system and what you see out there sometimes.
Yeah, because we actually have meetings with the parents and they sign a contract that they're going to, basically behave and represent 5-star in an honorable way. But all of I think the core of those is wrapped in our curriculum because we do walk our athletes through the same program that we walk through the kids walk through at school.
And we are selective. We have an interview process, a vetting process to make sure we have people that get that and want to operate that way for coaches. Mm-hmm. So those coaches go through training. And then, we take everybody through our curriculum. And, parents do sign a contract just saying that this is how we're going to conduct ourselves, right? Which means that sometimes parents get to hold us accountable. Mm-hmm. That mutual accountability is super important. When everybody knows what the objective is and how we're going to behave, there's accountability.
There's also with that is that open door that parents are allowed to come have the conversations, but we're allowed to go to the parent and have the conversation. And not all organizations are that way. It's like, no. I'm the coach. I got it handled. I don't need to, digest this with you, but you do.
It's so important. And it's such a basic part of our values and our culture. And that is, we want to make sure, we want to get better. And if you can't listen to a parent's suggestion or thought or their perspective, why wouldn't you want more perspectives rather than less? And so you take the now we do tell parents, we tell them the 24-hour rule. If they're really hot, we'd say, if you know that you're hot, take 24 hours and make sure it's worth it. Mm-hmm. Don't bring a negative energy right after a game. Give yourself time to calm down. And we tell the coaches the same thing. Don't go at this. Give yourself some time to make sure if it's still worth addressing. It's a simple thing that I think has saved a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
But back to this whole process and concept. We're teaching in this next year, the theme is to rise, right? Which, rising can mean a lot of things, but we're framing it, to move upward, to improve, and to experience positive change. We want kids to move forward. We want parents to move forward. And everything we do is designed to help them do that. And just in the previous segment, we talked about it all starts with your brain. Mm-hmm. Your brain can change. And because your brain can change, that means your future can change. You don't have to stay where you are. We're not stuck. Sometimes, again, we talk about those automatic negative thoughts, the subconscious thoughts. We feel like I'm just always going to be stuck here. I'll never get over there. And we give up and we become hopeless and helpless. And what we're teaching kids is you don't have to stay stuck, but you have to change the neural pathway in your brain to start moving towards a better way, right?
Talk about our brains or your brain and basketball. I obviously never played basketball, but, in the moment, you have to think. And when you're on a sport, in a fast-paced sport, I guess any sport, you have to think. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking, is your brain thinking ahead or is your brain, how does that work with what we teach?
Well, with basketball, it's the way we design our practices is everything that happens in that 2-hour practice is designed to give them the skills they need to get out there and play. Basketball is like art, right? Football, you get on the field and you go over, you have a set of plays, and you have time to line up, you call a play, and it's by the inch. It's a game of inches, right? And you know where everybody's going, how they're going to block, how they're going to run, where they're going to pass it. Basketball is fluid. It's like art. So you're teaching skills and concepts, And it's fluid though. So you're teaching these concepts and these skills. And what I teach my players is when you catch the ball, you need to be as the ball is coming, you have to process where's the defender, where's the next open person, and what is my next move. So before you catch, I teach my guys you have a split second to make a decision. So our brands are capable of that. Mm-hmm. Again, most coaches and programs aren't teaching that concept, but you have a split second to make a decision. That's how you get really good at basketball. You watch teams that don't teach that, they catch it. It takes them 2 or 3 seconds. They hold the ball. Then they think about what they're going to do. The defense settles, all the gaps, all the opportunities are gone. Then they have to restart when they pass it. That makes basketball really hard. Mm-hmm. You watch the NBA Finals right now, and I'm telling you, those guys have it. It's a millisecond. Before they catch, that's why you see literally they catch the ball and boom, the ball is passed 2 or 3 times in a second half because they're the highest level, right? They know exactly what they're going to do a second before they get it. As the ball is coming, they know what their next move is. That's what we're trying to teach them at a little slower pace in our program.
Wow. That's why I never played basketball. There's no way I could have done it.
Well, and that's why basketball is such a powerful sport to learn because your decision-making skills and the pressure, the processing. Soccer is very similar to that as well. It's fluid. It's art. There's concepts, but you can call a play and have a set, but it's never going to be ever the same ever in a game. It's going to play out differently.
That'd be great for business skills.
Yeah.
Running a business.
Yeah, because it's adaptation, right? I'm going to make a decision when I catch the ball, and literally as I'm catching it, I know what I'm going to do, but then the defender jumps one way. Now I've got to pivot really quick. Within a millisecond, I got to say, okay, if I stay the same way, I'm going to get a charge. I'm going to turn the ball over. So I'm now pivoting. So it's constantly making adaptations. That's why I love the game basketball, because it's so much like life.
So are you constantly creating new pathways in your brain?
Well, what you're doing is you're creating a mind that is really used to many open ideas and choosing quickly which one's the best one.
Okay.
So basketball players are learning how to make decisions. So there's a lot of basketball players that are pretty decisive, right? I think point guards are super decisive. Quarterbacks are super decisive because they're having to process the most. They have to call the plays out. They have to know every position, right? So their brains are working even on overload. So it's why you see a lot of leaders, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of point guards, a lot of those people become leaders.
So I was in an interview and someone brought up band, and they said that this guy was played a sport and he was in the band, and he said you don't understand the similarities to both. That it truly is a team, and you have to work as a team. And then you think about it. You know what? They do some intricate, I don't know what you call them, performances with the marching and playing the instrument.
Their brains again, marching band, incredible on your brain. The instrument, the listening, the marching. Okay, we'll come back with more right after this. The 5-Star Life Parent app. Each lesson includes a short video and simple discussion prompts designed to help families reconnect and start talking again. Because when parents lead the conversation, kids grow stronger. Download the 5-Star Life Parent app today and start your first family conversation this week, transforming kids' lives by challenging the way they think, act, and lead. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I'm Coach Seth here with my co-host, Coach Mia, and we're having a fun conversation. And again, if you just tuned in, I want to remind you that you can listen to this show anywhere podcasts are streamed. Really want to encourage you, if you just caught this on radio, safely, even if you're driving, safely make a note of where you can access this. If it's Spotify, if it's Apple Music, anywhere that podcasts are streamed, you can check out this show. And I want to encourage you, it's like, if you enjoyed this, listen to it weekly because it's actually consistently good. That's what people tell us. And that's what they say. So I'm just, listen, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just saying that's what we get a lot. So do us a favor. If you like it, subscribe to the show, like it, or share it with a friend, a family, a coworker. And it's like a donation to our organization. Remember, we're a nonprofit organization on a mission to transform students' lives by challenging the way they think, which has been the topic topic of this show, and the way they act, the way they lead. So, wrapping this show up, we're in studio. We just did a lesson. We talked about in the first lesson the power of the brain, that your brain can change, and so all change starts in the brain. And until you pause and give yourself some margin, sometimes you don't think about some of the automatic negative thoughts and some of the things that are in our subconscious. Like before the game, when I had these pre-game anxious moments, that was affecting how I played. By the way, that was a catalyst and a turning point in my basketball career, because my pre-game routine changed, and that actually was transformational for my life. Like, the power statements I do, it all started there. It started with just, I didn't do power statements then. I was thinking about it. And power statement, for those who are not familiar with those, probably 20 years ago, I started just creating statements that I wrote down, and I would just repeat them every day. That was a proactive way for me to think about who I am, who I'm becoming, and where I'm going, and to say those things out loud. There's so much science that backs this idea that when you think it, it's powerful, but when you say it, and when you start to feel it, that's where it gets deeper, and that's where you, like, instead of just like walking across the grass and forming a pathway, it's like taking a bush hog and mowing it down. When you think it, speak it, and you can get your emotions tied around that idea, it's like, boom, you're laying down path way faster.
I want to encourage people to try this, because every time you say you can, change your brain, train your brain, I think of all the people that are like, not me.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
So if you just think it, but then you're saying I can't, then you're taking one step forward and one step back. So what you want to do is at least take 2 steps forward.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of saying not me, you got to shut that down and saying, not me yet, but I'm taking steps. And you will start to get momentum if you can, one, pay attention to it. The other part I want to introduce in this last segment is your brain is important, but your nervous system is even more important, because your brain, it reacts, but your nervous system is instantaneous. So again, the feeling of anxiety that I was experiencing courtside, that was my nervous system just automatically feeling, and it creates this cycle. If the power of the nervous system, I want people to think about this like a ladder. And we've talked on this show before about the polyvagal theory and the polyvagal ladder, which really it's a great illustration for how our nervous system works. And at the top of this ladder, we label it safe and connected. It's where we feel safe, we feel confident, we feel connected. And because we feel safe and confident and connected, unlike the way I felt courtside, we can listen, we can learn, we can think clearly, and we can see really clearly. But what happens is we don't stay at the top of the ladder. Our nervous system often lives in what we call fight or flight. And when we're in fight or flight, fight is, think about, this is where we get angry. Mm-hmm. This is where we argue. This is where we're negative. This is where we're anxious.
How can I stop you? Who takes us down the ladder?
You know what?
Or what does, I guess?
It's incredible. All kinds of things can take us down the ladder. There's so many things that can kind of trigger us.
People or?
It can be people.
Okay.
It can be moments. And part of it is, if some of us live there, we live in fight or flight. Some of us, we rarely live up here where we feel safe, connected, and excited, and at peace. So many people listening, like, when was the last time I felt peace? When was the last time I felt safe and connected? Most people don't live there.
No, I know. I was one of those people.
And so anything can trigger us, or we just perpetually live there. So here's an example I used in the video lesson that we taught. When I was 17, I got asked to speak because I was good at basketball. I got asked to speak at youth camps and clinics to a group of young kids. And I showed up there prepared. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. It was brief. And before I stood up to speak, something happened. I walked up there, and as I was walking up there, my heart began to race. My body started to tighten up. My chest constricted, and my mind went blank, and I froze. I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. So the bits and pieces of what I wanted to say somehow went out there. I wrapped it up as quick as I could, and then I walked away like embarrassed and feeling like a total loser. Like, what the heck? Like, I just choked. Like in basketball, I used to be in a clutch player, and I was like, I just choked.
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? I can't do this. I can't speak to people in public. And I didn't realize this. I had some people around me that encouraged me and said, listen, Seth, what you just experienced, you're not a failure. You're not a loser. You're learning. This is a learning experience. And they encouraged me to get back in there. But I didn't realize this, but there was some neuroscience. There's something happening biologically in my body. It was my nervous system. There was something that I just felt pressure. I was afraid. I think just the moment and the fact that I'd never done it before. I had no neural pathway for it. And it was just, what if I choke? And I did. And so that triggered me, and I just shut down. Now, if I would have quit and not gone back to it, guess what? I would still to this day believe that I can't talk to groups. I can't speak in public. And that's where most people get hung up. Mm-hmm. They try something, they fail, I can't deal with conflict well. I just lose my temper, or I can't speak in front of people, or I can't this, I can't that. Or I just can't make money. I can't think for myself. I can't speak up in groups. I can't handle myself. All those things that come up, truly it's just a lie. The truth is we haven't learned yet. And if we start to understand that it's our nervous system that's being triggered. So again, our brain is one thing. Mm-hmm. But our nervous system, what our body is doing, if I would have known about the polyvagal theory and that, okay, when I was asked to do it, I was kind of excited about the opportunity and felt honored. But the closer I got to it, I dropped down into fight, flight, or freeze. And fight means like, I'm going to go, just go at it.
Yeah.
But I froze. And so if I would have recognized that, okay, I am freezing, I could have taken a breath, because I've had this happen since I've known about this. I've been up in front of people where I all of a sudden the fear hits me. And literally, because I know this process, I can say, ooh, there's some fear here. I want to run off the stage, or I'm freezing right now. My mind's starting to shut down, go blank. I literally just take a breath. Nobody really knows what's going on.
Right.
There's no I'm pausing. And that pause brings me back up the ladder to clarity. My thoughts even out. I know where I want to go. I get clear, and I move on. Like, I've had that happen where I absolutely knock it out of the park in front of a group of people, or in front of an auditorium with hundreds or thousands of people. I've had that happen. It's the craziest thing, because so like what we're teaching kids is, if you can start to identify where you are on the ladder, research says, science says, if you can name it, you can tame it.
So with your child, if you have a child who's, I'll say high strung, just, a lot of emotions. So if you can help them name it, like, what would you say? Like,
I'm anxious.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
Or do you ask them, like, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Like, what's going on?
Yes. And here's where, as parents, we get it wrong. I have got it wrong so many times, but this is why our 5-Star Parent app, this is why this show is such a lifeline, because The worst thing we can do as parents is let our kids' triggers in their nervous system that's dysregulated dysregulate us. So what happens when our kids melt down, get in fear, have performance issues on the field, on the court, at home, in class, they get in trouble? What do? We let them dysregulate us, and now we're afraid as well. And we respond out of fear. Regulated parents, solid parents that take a breath and make sure I'm going to the top of the ladder. I'm going to get clear. I'm going to make sure I can listen. I'm going to make sure I'm at a good place and I can parent out of love here. Well, when you're in that space, you can say, okay, tell me what you're feeling. Instead of jumping to how they underperformed, what's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Instead of shaming their performance and what they're feeling and what they're doing, which is what we normally go to, you take a breath and then it helps them take a breath. Hold on. Take a breath. What are you feeling right now? I don't know. Okay, hold on. Take a breath. Just take a moment. Give them a moment. Don't put your hands on them. Don't just say, hold on. Or if you put your hands on them, just a calm hand on their shoulder. Hold on. And it will bring them down in a moment. It will take seconds for them to, and then help them with their breathing. Hey, take a deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. This is one of the most powerful things that parents can teach their kids. And in that moment, kids feel empowered and they feel heard. Now you've helped them come up. Now guess what? They're listening to you. And you're helping them think through at a higher level. Let's identify, what are you feeling right now? I'm afraid. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I'm angry. Okay. What are you angry about? What are you afraid about? Why are you nervous? Because this, and this. See, instead of operating out of fear and shaming them into better performance, you're giving them the power and the tools to start to identify where they're at and then walking them back up the ladder so they can start to problem solve, which is one of the most powerful human traits we can have.
And I think that's so powerful. And it's not the oh baby, I'm so sorry, but it's like, no, you're teaching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. More to come next week. Go to 5 Still Life to learn more. Thanks for tuning in.